All right, what is going on, Shift Gear listeners? You are missing your weekly Wagwan Generals, but unfortunately, Aneil could not be here with us. He had some anniversary plans that he could not reschedule, which are more important, I think, than him doing Shift Gear. So we miss Aneil this week, but in his place, I brought on the breakout star from North America, I think, in the 2025 season. We have Cali White from Richmond, British Columbia. So, Callie, thank you for joining the Shift Gear this week.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on.
Awesome. So, yeah, we have Vancouver Regionals this weekend. So I thought, who better to bring on the podcast than British Columbia's #1 player right now from Vancouver. So I kind of wanted to. We're going to do a meta breakdown with what decks we think are in the tier list and their meta percentages. But I really wanted to spend the most of the shift here kind of like getting to know you better, Callie. I mean this in the most respectful way, but when like I saw you on the leaderboard, like chasing me for that #1 spot, I'm like, who the heck is Phoenix White? So, and obviously you've had such a great season, second at Toronto, top 4 at San Antonio, and some other great finishes as well in day 2. So I think not just myself, but I think all the listeners and people in the community want to get to know you. So I kind of want to start, Callie, how long have you been playing Pokemon? Let's just start there.
So I've been playing Pokemon since I started playing at literally for Christmas in 2017. I bought
Okay.
probably $200 worth of cards with my Christmas money, and I almost got enough cards for a Zoroark deck, and I slowly built that up. So that's when I first started playing.
Okay, nice. What was the Zoroark build?
At first I was just playing a Zoroark deck because I did not own any cards to go with it other than Lele. But eventually I played Zoroark and
Okay.
Sauropod.
So you played basically one of the strongest iterations of Zoroark. So
Yeah,
were you like senior back then or were you master?
senior.
Okay, cool. So you started when you were a kid. Awesome. Okay. So kind of how did that progress? So like, were you back then? Were you bad? Were you like doing decent in seniors? Were you going to regionals? What was your competitive journey kind of like?
I don't want to sound cocky, but I'd say I've always been one of the best players in my
Okay.
local area. But I would say until last season, yeah, 2023 to 2024, I had never really gone to a major basically because I
Okay.
never had the money, and I was in high school. My mom didn't give me any money, so I was just kind of vibing at locals.
Nice. Like you didn't even play like Vancouver regionals or anything?
No, I played Vancouver, but I
Okay.
never did that well.
Okay. So
And I
Vancouver.
think I
I was gonna say so. Vancouver was the only regionals you ever got to play then before now this season or last season. I
yeah,
guess. Okay.
my first regionals was Portland 2019,
Okay.
but then I only did Vancouver in 2022 and 2023.
Okay, cool. And then like now you basically been starting to travel more, which is awesome. So,
Yeah.
okay, so you said you were always one of the better players in your local area. So how would you kind of just play Pokemon? You would literally just like grind locals. Were you like an online grinder? How did you kind of build up your skills then when you were getting started?
I've never been a huge grinder, to be honest. I just gotta play
Okay,
locals. I never play online. More recently, I've been playing a little bit more online, but not really. I would just say I just played some locals. I feel like I'm pretty naturally like I have pretty decent natural understanding of how the cards work. So
okay. Did you play any other card games, or was Pokemon just like the first one you jumped into?
Pokemon's the first card game I've ever played. I
Very
used to do
nice.
sports before Pokemon, so
Oh, okay. So you have a competitive background. What was
yeah.
your sport of choice?
I just did track and field for I'm
Okay,
so
track.
old. It was elementary school, but
Classic.
yeah.
Nice, nice. So okay, so that was kind of your beginnings. We were just basically playing Portland, Vancouver, some local stuff. And then when I was looking at your limit list, getting prepared for this, you actually had a pretty good season last year. You had 5 day 2s. You had one top 64 and then some top 128. So it kind of feels like last year was the precursor to your success this season. So, what really changed for you like last season that helped you start doing well?
Well, last season was the first season I went to any events that weren't Vancouver Regionals
Okay.
or Portland. So more than one major a season. And I would say last season I did day 2 every single major I went to aside from Worlds, but I definitely struggled with general nerves to be honest, playing against very notable people because I had very little experience against that. So
Okay.
that's
So
probably why I had a bunch of day 2s, but they were not very good day 2s.
So you feel like maybe like you'd sit down at a table, you're playing against like some big name player, and you felt like you maybe like played worse type of thing. That's what you was
Yeah,
holding
I would
back
get
some big
really
finishes.
nervous.
Okay, fair enough. Well, now I feel like if someone sits across from you, like now they're nervous playing against you. So have you noticed that yet or not yet?
Um, I've definitely had some like interesting interactions. At San Antonio, I played against someone, and then after they wanted a photo, which is like something new to me, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you're starting to get some notoriety. That's awesome. So, okay, so then you said you kind of had some nerves, and I think that's something a lot of people deal with. I get a lot of people who I work with, they ask me that question, just like in general. So, um, like maybe you still get nervous, but what are some things you kind of use to like calm your nerves or get over that when you're playing now?
Well, I think last season I prioritized like okay, I think I spent too much time like trying to talk to my friends in between rounds, but I think a lot of the time that having like some alone time in between rounds to just like think about what happened in the last game and just like have a mental reset feels better, to be honest, for me at least.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've always been a big proponent that it kind of like it depends on you personally. Like, there's not like a advice you can give to everyone. So it's just like you probably face nerves or stress in like every facet of life. So it's like I don't know, like how do you deal with stress when you play sports or at work or like with your family, right? It's like a lot of those strategies probably carry over to Pokemon. And the other thing I say is like it's okay to be nervous. Like I get nervous when I'm playing on stream or when I'm playing my winning into top cut or all that. It's kind of just like you just kind of roll with the punches. So okay, so do you feel like this year, maybe let's say Toronto, San Antonio, those are your two top cuts. Do you feel like were you playing against any big name players that you had to get over those nerves? Do you feel like you handled it like better than you did maybe in seasons past?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think I played against a lot of very good players in Toronto, especially going into like top 10. And they stream against Jackson Ford, and I played against Caleb in top 4. But like, um, I just feel like the nerves like after a certain amount of time, like I'm more used to playing against these people is like the thing. So like I'm like a lot less scared of playing against them. And like last season I did manage to beat some of them, so I think that definitely helped with like being more confident playing into like a well-known player, like just knowing I can beat them.
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing I also say too is like top players are just like normal people, right? Like, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like you sit down, it's like Pokemon's a game where like obviously if your opponent plays perfectly, it's harder for you to win, but like what they do doesn't really affect your play. Uh, so that's awesome to hear that you kind of getting like you know that you can beat them now. Do you have like maybe like one match? It doesn't have to be from this year. Maybe it was like last year or something where you like you beat someone. You're like that's when you maybe like felt those nerves go away. You're like, oh, I can beat the best players. Or I belong with the best.
Um, I mean, I did beat some very notable players at LA, so I think that's probably where like the nerves fully went away. But yeah, I think that was probably the event where it like went away.
Okay, nice. Can you name drop or no?
Um, I'm just not gonna name drop,
No name
but
drop. Okay, I'll have to go through your pairings from those tournaments. But glad to
yeah,
hear you got some big
you'll probably be
wins.
able to find them.
Okay. I mean, yeah, the other thing I say too is like literally go to like any regional or like go on Pokédata, like click on Tord's name, click on Azul's name, click on whoever's name. Like you'll see losses to people who are like, oh, I'm not really sure who that is. Like it happens like all the time.
Well,
Cause like
I
like
was
this,
also gonna say like I did realize like the more I play, like not a top player isn't like a god at the game too. They're also gonna make mistakes. Like it's just part of the game.
yeah,
That
exactly.
definitely helped me with that idea.
Oh,
Because like I swear, when I was in like 2023, like I just thought anyone that was like a well-known player is gonna play absolutely perfectly, and I could not beat them. But that's definitely not like a truth statement. Everyone's human.
yeah, exactly. It's just they make less mistakes on average, probably.
Yeah, that's
Like yeah,
definitely
I feel like I punt all the time. Like I've seen Azul punt against me. Like
true.
I've watched Tord misplay on stream. Like they just misplay less often. But yeah, exactly. If you play good Pokemon, like even if you're worse than someone, like there's also luck involved in the game. So that's something I'm always telling people. Like don't resign yourself to losing before you sit down. I see that all the time. Someone looks at their parent like, oh my god, I hit this person, and they've already lost before they sat down, type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so let's kind of talk about maybe then how you've gotten now to this season. So you said nerves was one of the big things that you had to combat, but what are some other ways you feel like you became like a top player now? Was it do you have a testing group you work with? Is it you play a lot live? Did you approach the game differently? What do you attribute your success to this season?
Um, I honestly think that it's mainly just like a confidence thing.
Okay.
I don't think that like the way I view the game changed that much. I mean, I definitely like was very attached to playing Gardevoir last season, but also like for a lot of the events I played Gardevoir for, I think it was like the best deck. So I honestly
Yeah,
like
I'm looking at your list. Is besides LA, it was definitely the best deck in all those formats.
and I mean LA I booked last minute. That's why I played Gardevoir. I literally booked it on Wednesday before the event. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's mainly just like the confidence thing, to be honest.
Okay.
I've Yeah.
So, okay, let's take a step back then. So how did you get then, besides the confidence, to the level you're at now? Like, what was your testing process? Was it just playing a lot of games? Was it working with other people? Doing online tournaments? How did you get to the level you're at now?
I mean, I just play. I play my locals every week. That's it. That's all I really do.
Okay. Do you have do you right now, like, what's your testing process like? Is it still just play locals, or do you have a group now that
Well,
you work
okay.
with?
More recently, this is like after San Antonio.
Okay.
I'm like part of Project Artemis now, so I test with them a decent amount. And I guess I do a little bit of testing with my locals, but like not very much. I'm
Okay.
definitely more of like just a theory person, I guess.
Okay, so you just theory a lot. So what does your theory look like? Are you like theorizing what you think the predicted metagame is going to be like? Or you're just like, oh, like this
Yeah.
card or this build is going to be good.
I also do a lot. I do a lot of VOD reviewing. Like I'll VOD review all the regional streams and stuff. I
Yeah,
guess that's like probably the most testing thing I ever do. I don't know.
well, I mean, I always am a huge proponent that like I think VOD reviews are way underused in people's practice because it's basically like you can just shout out like top players playing like their decks, right? And just like see how they play it. Like you can be like, oh, I would have done this, and you watch it like, oh, like they did this instead. Like I probably should have done that.
Yeah.
So cool to hear that you use that in your process. It's definitely something I do all the time. I mean, I watch VODs just so like I have them for like when I make like board states or like to go over with my students. But like I also just learn so much from like watching someone play their deck because it's like obviously I haven't put in the amount of hours that someone has on. Like for example, if I watched you play Drago or something. So cool to hear that that's something you have in your testing repertoire there. And yeah, you said you joined Project Artemis. So I actually saw that when I was going through your Twitter. Do you mind like explaining to people what the team's about and like what that kind of is?
So it's just a team. It's like a competitive team meant to like represent more marginalized communities like within the community. It's supposed to like bring. There's a lot of them people that play Pokemon are just cis men. Like most of the top players are cis men, so it's trying to bring like a spotlight on the non-cis male players and showing like their talents off a bit more.
Yeah, it's an awesome mission. So I guess is that something you find like you're proud to represent when you play? Or you hope like do you find like a sense of like not responsibility, but like a sense of pride and maybe being like a role model for other people in the community?
Yeah, definitely. I always want the community to be more diverse. Like it definitely does feel a little bit rough with the way it is right now, but it just kind of is what it is. So I'm hoping like eventually we'll have a more diverse community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is the goal then with your team more just to like have more visibility, like more representation, like highlight
Yeah,
maybe members of the community like that don't have as much of a platform type of thing?
yeah. It's meant to highlight like players that have a smaller platform.
Awesome. Are you guys gonna like do content like stuff like that eventually?
Yeah, we're doing content. I don't know if it's like we've been recording some stuff. I don't think it's out yet.
Okay, cool. So that's gonna come soon.
Yeah.
Okay, once it's soon, I'll plug it. Definitely got to amplify that as a thank you for coming on the shift gear. Just 'cause I think the mission's awesome for that team. So I think for now you guys are just mainly on Twitter, right?
Yeah. Right now it's just Twitter, but I think the content's gonna start very soon.
Okay, cool. So you just like YouTube, Twitch, all that. So yeah, if you guys want to check it out now, go check it on Twitter. I know it's in Callie's bio as well. So if you follow her, you can definitely see that. So cool, awesome. I'm glad you could shine some light on that. Yeah, and I guess the next thing I kind of wanted to ask you about is so we're both Canadian. I think I take a lot of pride in representing Canada and representing Toronto. So where do you stand on where British Columbia as a Pokemon scene kind of like stands in the Pokemon world? Because I feel like I'm definitely a big part of this. Toronto's always trying to get all the shine. We're always hyping up Toronto in that region. But now, like Vancouver, BC, like there's players like you, Landon Catlers winning multiple regionals. There's players like Trevor Reed. So where do you stand on the one BC versus Toronto? Who's better? And then just how do you take pride in also representing your local area?
I will say I do think Toronto's definitely a stronger region, but I do think BC is like a very underrated region. Like a couple years ago, BC was definitely like terrible, but I think like over time we've definitely gotten a lot better. Like I think in basically all the events this season, we've had a player at least in top 16. So I think that we're definitely like a decently strong region now.
No, I definitely think British Columbia is like definitely one of the most underrated regions. And honestly, just like I'm hyped when you guys do well, because then that means Canada's doing well. So yeah, Canada just goated, right? So
I was the last Canadian in Toronto, but I couldn't close it out.
I know. Okay. You know what's the saddest fact? In the modern era, we've never won our own regionals, Vancouver or Toronto. Uh,
Well,
Like the
there's Vancouver, so
exactly. So one of us is gonna win, hopefully.
I'm hoping for that.
Yeah. So the last time a Canadian won was 2016 Toronto Regionals, which is crazy.
That's so long
I
ago.
know. I lost the finals of that one. So yeah. So hopefully next weekend I take it down, you take it down, and Neil takes it down. Some random Canadian takes it down. I don't care who it is. We just need to win for Canada. We win the American regionals often enough, but we like for whatever reason can't win our own. I think Dennis got second last year as well. So yeah, and then I guess kind of maybe like on a similar note to like the BC scene, who's like some players that we should be like watching out for? Who are some like under the radar players you think the average player wouldn't know? Do you think is pretty strong from BC who could go on a run next week?
Well, there's Simon. He's been playing Blocklax all season, which I don't know if I agree with, but he got top 16. There's like Kevin. He was an ASIM of San Antonio with Drago. He played the list I would have played, and yeah.
Okay. Those
and
are two guys.
there's Joey Gaffney. He's
Joey
like a very
Gaffney's,
strong player in my
he
opinion.
top 4 worlds back in the day in
Yeah.
seniors, back in Vancouver worlds. Yeah, he's definitely an underrated player for sure.
And I mean, Landon is also a very strong player, but I think most people know who Landon
Yeah,
is.
he's got
So
2 regionals. Yeah. So,
those are like
yeah.
my big shows from BC.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen Simon's name in a lot of finishes when I look on the leaderboard. I haven't seen Kevin as much. But yeah, it looks like he got okay, so he got top 16 San Antonio, day 2 at Toronto. So we're looking out for him too. And yeah, Joey, I actually played him in the finals of Seniors Nationals 2013.
Yeah.
So
Joey's like very, very good. But like he definitely plays some interesting decks in my opinion. Like
yeah, I remember back in the day when we were in seniors, his deck lists were also very interesting. Like very he'd play Tex, I guess, in a lot of his lists. Maybe cutting some consistency.
He got day 2 at Portland, I think, with Kecleon Lost Zone.
I don't even know what Kecleon does.
It's like it's like all the types if you put the energy on it. It's
yeah, this one Portland Regionals? Or wait.
Maybe it was Vancouver then actually. Yeah, I think it was Vancouver. There was definitely a regional where he made day 2 and he had Kecleon in his deck.
Oh, here we go. If this Pokemon is the same type as any basic energy. Wait, it's the same type as any basic energy and it does 90. Can he play super effective glasses?
Well, I think he also played the rapid strike scroll with one shot Gardevoir EX.
This attack does 50 for each energy. How does this one shot Gardevoir EX?
It does 50 for each energy on the active, right?
Yeah.
So if they swing with Gardevoir EX, he one shot it.
Oh, because you put Kecleon with dark energy.
I remember he did that with me at a League Cup, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I love
he definitely like the obscure decks.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at his like limitless range, like yeah, it's tons of finishes. I don't know if Joey like took a break or whatever for a while. Like, he's around my age, I think too, so he probably was in like university or something.
He apparently quit, and then he showed up to like that regional. He got day 2 with Pikarom, and he didn't know what any of the cards did.
Okay, wait, he's in regional Cologne. That's in Germany, no? So he must maybe he was in school there.
Apparently, he didn't know what any of the cards did when he played Pikarom that regional.
Okay, well that's how good he is. He's top 32 in the regional with without any knowledge of what the cards do. So yeah, definitely look out for Joey. Looks like he's been playing control all year, so
yeah, he's a big Pidgeot control player.
You probably don't want to hit Joey in the tournament. But...
probably not, unless you really like Pidgeot.
Nice. So cool. All right, those are kind of like the questions I had about getting to know you. So hopefully, like a lot more people in the community and myself, now I'm really glad I got to hear a bit about your story and like know who Phoenix White is on the leaderboard. Actually, that's my last question. Why is your name on the leaderboard Phoenix White? What is Phoenix? Is that like from the video game or like?
That's an old name.
Oh, okay, true. Makes sense. So cool. Okay, let's jump then to Vancouver Regionals. So I thought we could just kind of like make a tier list, kind of go through each of the decks. I have some questions for each of them for the ones that I think are interesting. So I wanted to kind of start with Cloth Terrapagos. Do you think this deck is gonna like go up and play like crazy, or do you think it's gonna kind of maintain its like 4 or 5% range that it's been at?
I definitely think it will go up and play a little bit. Like winning an IC is definitely gonna make people want to gravitate towards it, but I don't think the deck is like super appealing, especially to like new players. I don't know. I think there's a lot going on, so I don't think it will go up like a huge amount. But I'll probably see it. It was like 4% at UIC, so I'll probably go to see it going to like 6. Is probably my guess.
Okay. Yeah, it's like interesting because like I feel like when Cloth did well, I think it was like Sacramento. I feel like a lot of people loved Cloth. I think we saw like the next regional it kind of go up a little bit. And I feel like maybe people just like slept on the deck and are like kind of thought it wasn't as good anymore. Now they're like, oh, like the deck's hype again. Like, so maybe they'll pick it back up. So, do you think like what tier do you think? Do you think it's an A tier deck? Do you think like its win at London was like kind of indicative of the deck strength, and maybe we were all just like sleeping on it, or do you think it's still like a tier 2 type of deck?
To be honest, I've not played any games in this deck like ever, so I don't have like a great opinion on it. But whenever I play against it, it feels like kind of whatever. I feel like if like a Dragapult player sets up against you, you kind of just lose my thing. But
Yeah, that's my experience as well. It kind of feels like a deck where like the donk strategy is actually like a huge part of this deck's like success. Like, but I mean, I don't think it's that unrealistic to steal like one donk against an evolving deck in best of 3 because like blind, like Dragapult's picking second, Gardevoir's picking second, right? So it's like it's not that unrealistic that you're gonna just like get a donk on them, and then you just have to like you get to go first again at least once. You force some of those decks to go first. Like they're not that good when they go first, so I think it's definitely decent. I think its worst matchups are definitely Gardevoir and Lugia. I think both of those are decks that are kind of on the decline a little bit. So I think it could be decently well positioned. I guess one thing though is it gets a little collateraled by like Klefki to counter Miraidon. Like it's really bad if your opponent gets Klefki. But I think the like nice thing about it is it's a deck that doesn't mind going, or it likes going first in a format where most decks just blind second. So I think it's like to me probably I'm gonna put it like I would put it like low A tier or like high B tier. I'll let you be the tiebreaker. Where would you put it? Should we put it in A or should we put it in B?
I think it's high B tier.
High B tier, okay.
And I feel like people are still gonna play Gardevoir, and like Vinny's list is like the list I've seen the most for Dragapult recently, and that plays Klefki. So
okay, I think that's fair. So should we guess like 7% for the meta share?
I think it'll be 6, but I mean 7 could make sense.
All right, we'll split the difference. We're going 6.5.
You can also see like after we put everything out.
Okay, then we'll readjust.
Like buff it or lower it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I guess the next question I had was kind of how we were talking about Dragapult. Which Dragapult build do you think is stronger? Is it the one that the Fernandez brothers played? I guess Tord played it as well, a little bit different. Or do you think just the classic Dragapult Dusknoir is still the way to go?
I'm not fully sure. I have not played any games with the Dragapult with like the Dusknoir, but it's from what I've seen of it, it seems really strong.
Yeah, I actually recorded yesterday like a VOD review of Gabriel's final, like with him, and he was like talking to me about the deck, and I was watching in action. I'm like, wow, this is actually really smart. Like when he was explaining all the lines to me.
Yeah.
Like
I think
no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I think Unfair Stamp is just like the best ace deck right now, especially paired with Badoo. So like I think I would lean towards that deck being slightly better, but I'm not like 100% sure. It also depends on how the meta adapts to that deck existing.
Yeah, it's like because like he was telling me the strategy, like, oh, you just go Badoo twice, and then you have your whole setup, and you just go Unfair Stamp, and it's like I was watching his finals in like Mirror, and I'm like, you just explained to him like, well, I guess if you're Badooing, like they're not playing Candy, they're not getting all their guys set up. Like in Mirror, like they're actually very weak to Unfair Stamp. And he had a Monkey Dory, so when you're playing the slow style, it's like you can get Monkey Dory going. Like that's basically just as good as having a Dusclops once you get it going, because you can put 30 on a Cloak and then like knock it out with Phantom Dive. Against other decks like Gardevoir, that's pretty good too. So I actually haven't played enough games either. I actually think it might be stronger than the normal Dusknoir version. I think also it has the element of surprise. Like, are you testing against this deck? Like, probably not, right? Like, I feel like most people are probably not testing against this deck.
I think I am, to be honest. I think the deck is pretty strong.
So you're testing.
Like,
okay.
I'm not expecting it to like be the more popular build, but I'm expecting it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the more successful build.
Yeah, I think what's gonna happen is like not many people are gonna play this build because people are just used to playing Dusknoir and they've practiced that so much. But I think like good players are probably gonna pick up this build, and like I feel like we'll see like one in like ASIM at least. Kind of go from there. So. Do you think both Dragapults are A tier, or do you think one's A, one's B?
I feel like I would just put them. I mean, honestly, I think if there is an S tier deck in this format, it's Dragapult. But
yeah,
I'm not sure about for this event. I'm not sure because I do think this is probably like one of the most Dragapult hateful events. I guess is like the way to say it. Like I don't know if I love Dragapult's position.
Okay, but what are some like cards you can even play to counter Dragapult? That's the hard thing I feel like, right? Like there's not really a tech where it's like, oh, this is really good against Dragapult.
Well, I mean, I think Lugia is like decently well positioned right now, and there's like Gholdengo seems like a pretty good deck in a Dragapult. I haven't played the matchup, but it's like in theory it seems pretty good for Gholdengo.
That's fair, actually. Yeah. I mean, the Dragapult no Dusknoir, they played the assault, not assault vest. Like they play some. I forget what it's called. The card where you're losing, you take 40 less damage to counter Gigas, and they play Temple. So I was like, I don't know. Gabrielle thinks Lugia's favorite. I don't know if it is or not. But I guess they have that. But I think Dragapult Dusknoir. I think that one has a very bad Lugia matchup. But
I mean, yeah, that deck's Lugia matchup's terrible in my opinion.
yeah, but I mean, like we can get to it later. But I don't think Lugia's gonna be like crazy popular. I just like Dragapult. It's kind of like Regidrago, where it's like, well, everyone knows this is the best deck, and like on paper, like its matchups were like not that good, but it's just like it's pretty even into most things. And if you're a really good player, like you can kind of just win a lot of games by like really smart prize mapping. Just like it has a lot of maneuverability, I think, as well. So I don't know.
I do think at the end of the format, like Dragapult or Regidrago kind of fell off pretty hard. But
I mean, it did, but we went from like Toronto, where it was like 6 or 7 in the top cut. Then I guess next regional it didn't make top cut, but like I don't know, that was like a one-off almost to me. But you are right, I think it adapts. But I don't know, just for whatever reason, it just feels like Dragapult doesn't have the target that like Regidrago had, in my opinion. I don't
that's
know.
fair.
Yeah. I guess the response to Drago was to play aggro decks, and then like aggro decks aren't as good in this format. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I also think like Arceus probably going to be really popular. I think people just like that deck. It's just like the new. I think it's like the most similar deck to Raging Bolt.
Yeah,
it's just, like very mindless. You just attack, and use your
agree.
Turo, and then attack again. Like
I agree. So okay, so maybe we'll put I think we should put them in the A tier, like both of them.
I think the other Dragapult build is slightly better than the Dusknoir.
So you think?
But I do think more people. I don't know if it's like. See, I don't know if I would put the deck in a different tier.
Okay, so
I
you're
don't have
saying
that.
maybe like B and A? Like, why not?
No, I would put them both in A tier, but I just like think the Dragapult build is slightly better.
Okay, so we'll put this like high A. This is just like normal
Yeah.
A. Okay, so what are the split? So I don't know. I think it was like 16 or 17% Dragapult at EUIC. So if we like kind of follow a similar trend, what percent do you think will be the normal Dragapult, and what percent will just stick with the Dragapult Dusknoir?
I feel like Dragapult Dusknoir is gonna be like 12%. Like I feel like it'll be like most of the Dragapult percentage.
Anything like 5% is like the other version?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair split as well. I'd say something like that. I was even gonna go maybe it might be less than 5% for this one, but I think maybe a lot of people will gravitate towards it.
At my locals, like I've definitely seen a couple people playing it, but they've mostly been still playing the Dragapult Dusknoir.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. So yeah, we kind of talked about Gholdengo, so I want to talk about that one next. So that was like the surprise deck, I guess, of EUIC. I feel like its demise was prematurely announced because everyone thought Badu ruins the deck, and it's like, oh, you can just play one Monkey Dory, and it's like it's actually kind of chill. And it's pretty good into Dragapult. And they said it was good in the Gardevoir with the Turo adaptation. And they had like counters for the Bravery Charm. So I think Gholdengo was one of those decks that like people love to play. So now that I think there's like a more solved list out there, I wouldn't be surprised to see this deck jump up to like a 6-7% as well. Because it's a deck people are familiar with, and like they can jump back. If you select CPAL, Gholdengo's kind of like CPAL, so you can jump on that. So I don't know. I think the deck is good. I think it might be one of those situations though where like the cat's out of the bag a little bit, where it's like now like everyone's just gonna assume you're playing the list that got top 4 that that group played. So do you think this deck has it in it to like make another run to top cut, or do you think it was kind of like a one-hit wonder?
I'm honestly unsure. It's like I don't know. The deck still seems pretty strong, but I'm just like I feel like there's got to be some like ways to cheese this deck. That's my thing, but
Unintended or no?
no.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah, finish your thought.
I think I would put it in like B tier to be honest, because I still feel like it's pretty good, but I'm not super confident in the deck is my thing.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel as well. I think now that the list is out and you can study it, you'll know what's happening. So people will be able to play around it better. I think both for Cloth and Gholdengo last week, I think just the surprise factor was huge. And I don't think it's going to have that anymore. So what's the meta percent you think we should guess?
6 or 7. I think people love Gholdengo.
All right,
I don't know why.
It's also a Cloth. I mean, it's a fun deck. Like I've never played in a real tournament, but I like play it sometimes, and it's like I don't know, drawing cards, like making it rain. That's exciting. Like
it's like I think it's I don't know. People love their simple decks, and it does seem like a relatively simple deck.
I guess it's not like I guess it is kind of simple. It's like just discard energy, take knockouts.
Well, I think it's like there's like decent amount of sequencing to it, but it's like the game plans are pretty like it's attack. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we were also talking about Arcaludon now. So Arcaludon, I was shocked that it jumped all the way to like 11 or 12% at UIC.
I was too, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but like
I
you
thought
said,
Miraidon was gonna be that deck.
yeah, like maybe like people like who used to play Raging Bolt or something are just hopping on Arcaludon. So, um, I personally am not the biggest fan of Arcaludon. I don't think the deck is that good. I think it's very clunky, and I think like it needs a lot to go right to win a lot of your games. And it's very linear, which isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. It's just like it has like a horrible Gardevoir matchup. And then like I think its Dragapult matchup's like pretty close. Its Lugia matchup is very close depending on what like cards they play. Its Miraidon matchup is very good. I'll give it that. So I personally think this is a B tier deck. Okay, do you think it's better or worse than that? Where would you kind of place Arcaludon?
Honestly, I feel like it's like a C tier deck. I
C
just don't think it's
tier.
very good. I'm like consistently beating this deck with Dragapult Dusknoir when I was playing Dragapult, but
Okay. Honestly, all right. The guest takes priority, so I'm gonna put in C tier for you. And then, is this still gonna be above 10%?
probably I don't know. I think it's just like people really like their Arcaludon. I don't know why. I think it's just the simplest deck to play, and it seems like people like it over Miraidon. I don't know. Miraidon's probably gonna go down, so they gotta
Yeah.
play a simple deck.
I guess the other question I have is like we've seen kind of like there was a big shift to like the no Dialga Arcaludon. I think like prior to EUIC, but the list that got top 4 played Dialga. So do you think people are gonna go back to playing Dialga, or do you think it's gonna be kind of like split? Or are people gonna still stick with solo Arcaludon? What's your kind of read on that one?
I just don't think the deck's powerful enough if you don't play Dialga. But
Yeah, I
I
think
don't.
Dialga makes it clunky, but like you said, it's like it just gives such power to it, like that you kind of need.
Yeah. Like I literally like I swinging for 220 is just not enough in my opinion.
Yeah, because I guess you're very reliant on like just boss every turn. I think that version was maybe in response to Miraidon because you don't really need Dialga against Miraidon.
Yeah.
But you definitely do need Dialga against like some of the other decks, like the Dragapults, the Guardies, even the Lugias. I think.
I would be curious to see like what the no Dragapult Dusknoir list is like into Arcaludon, because in theory to me that matchup seems really bad for Dragapult. Like even worse than with Dusknoir, but I'm not sure.
uh, well, you have Blood Moon now, maybe. Well, I guess they have
I don't think
Relicanth.
I don't think Blood Moon matters so much. Like the guy is so bulky.
Well, I was saying like
I
you
guess you have I guess you have
you
like
set it
Phantom
up.
Die.
That's what I'm saying. Like you set it up
Oh,
eventually because you put 6, and that's perfect math, right? So I'm like maybe in the late game you can take a knockout that way. I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know.
I feel like yeah, I don't know.
Because like Badoo's
I
not
think
very good against them either. Because like literally Duraludon can just go attach knockout. Like
yeah.
so. Yeah. Okay. So maybe Arcaludon gets a good matchup a little bit if that Dragon Ball version gets popular. So, I was gonna guess like 10%. How do you feel about that?
I think 10% is fair. I
Okay.
think it has to fall a little bit from UIC. Like the deck's just not.
I don't know. It doesn't
I don't
have
think it's
to.
enjoyable to play, and like I don't think it's very good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
reminds me of Raging Bolt.
that's fair. But I mean, a lot of people love playing Raging Bolt. Like
I hate Raging Bolt.
I
I find it
personally
so
hate Raging
boring.
Bolt too, but a lot of people love it. So, well, okay. Then the other one we kind of been talking about a little bit is like Miraidon. So I feel like Miraidon like was like the hypest deck like going to USC, but I feel like it really flopped. And I feel like its position in the meta is kind of going down as well because its two best matchups are Gardevoir and Lugia, which I don't know if those are also going to maintain popularity. They might because, like we said, Lugia is decently well positioned. Gardevoir seems to be like falling off a little bit. And to be honest, when I look at like the rest of this list, it's like Miraidon's not that really like good into any of these decks. It's like maybe like 50-50 into some of them. But do you think Miraidon's maybe like kind of lost its shine here, or do you think it's still like a force to be reckoned with?
Um, I mean, I think it's a very strong deck. Some of those things it can do, like turn one amp, is like extremely brutal, and
Yeah.
like if you can hit that against like the no Dusknoir Dragapult, you probably win because they don't play Candy. So I don't know though.
Yeah.
I just yeah, I feel like you get teased a lot. Like people are playing Klefki. The cloth matchup is. I mean, I would say I think the cloth matchup's slightly like close.
It's fine. I think it's fine. It's just like if they push like a one prizer, you just have to hit hands turn one, I guess. Like
Yeah, I
cloth
mean,
is
that matchup's
probably
decent.
slightly favored, but like it's not like I don't think it's like that bad to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to play the Zapdos for the cloth matchup. Otherwise, they'll go like brute ball it, Radiant Sneasler. But
Wait, why do you need the Zapdos? Doesn't Cloth only have
They'll,
120?
they'll go Brute Bonnet with the Ancient Capsule, and then they'll have Radiant Sneasler. I don't know how consistent that is, so that's what I've always been told. And then you can't bundle.
Wait, what? Wait, what's Zapdos for though? Like to add damage, or is it blocking something?
Because if they have a Brute Bonnet in the
Yeah.
active with 180, and they have a
Okay.
Sneasler on the bench with 130, you can't
Oh, I
bundle.
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
or
see what you're
something.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Two for
Okay.
2 prizes turn 1. And I feel like you need to play bundle. Or you need to play Arven turn 1 most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, if Arcaludon's getting super popular, like, I feel like you should probably just play Zapdos anyways, just so you can knock out
Yeah.
those guys, too.
I don't know. I think the deck is like strong enough. I'd probably put it in like B tier, but I feel like you can just win a lot of games with like some turns for one hand. So I don't know.
I think the other thing with Miraidon is like it's like really easy to play as well. Like you can just have success with this deck. Like obviously you still need to be like good to like do really well with it, like how we saw in Merida. But I think if someone's just gonna pick up a deck like they haven't practiced a lot, I'm like this is probably the one to pick up as well. I think you don't think so? What's easier than this one? You think just playing Arcaludon?
Yeah, I feel like Arcaludon is definitely easier, but I mean, I guess Miraidon's probably like the better easy deck. It's just like I feel like if I was giving a new player a deck, I'd probably just give them Arcaludon.
True.
Because Miraidon, you can definitely get punished for sequencing like really hard. But
yeah, that's fair. Do we think it's like that 10% range, or do we think it's gonna drop even more?
At UIC it was like 8, and I don't think it changes. Like
8?
I feel like 8, maybe. Like I honestly could see it going up just because.
Yeah.
I feel like European players don't like Miraidon for some reason, but
that is true. I mean, also maybe though, like some people who play Miraidon are gonna switch to like Cloth or something because it's like similar, like aggro. Like maybe you go to other aggro decks. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I definitely think the deck is just like it's just okay. I think it got some very solid results early, but I feel like people have like adapted to it.
Well, I feel like the early metagame, it was literally like Dragapult, Gardevoir, Lugia were each like almost 20% each. And like, I think people thought the metagame was going to be very narrow. And now the metagame is definitely widened again when people are like, oh, like all these other decks can actually compete. Like Badoo is actually not that good. It's still good, but it's not like crazy, like choking out the format. So, yeah. Cool. All right, next up, we got Gardevoir. I still think Gardevoir is really good. Honestly, I think no one is sure like how you're supposed to build Gardevoir right now. Like half the people aren't playing Drifloon, like half the people are playing Cape, half the people are playing like Stamp, some people are still playing Secret Box. So as a former Guardy enjoyer, what do you think is the way you're supposed to be playing Gardevoir right now?
I think Unfair Stamp is the best base deck right now. That's what I'd definitely be playing.
Yeah, I think Stamp is really good, especially against like decks like Dragapult. If you like Stamp, knock out like the Cloak, or you Stamp, knock out Double Curly Mirror, those decks have a hard time recovering, and there is a lot of aggro. And it gives you a little bit more consistency. Because I think maybe the Cape was in response to like Lugia and stuff at the start of the format, but I think Cape is probably like losing some value. I think a lot of decks are playing Vacuum as well. So
Cape is like really good into Dragapult unless they play. If they play Vacuum, it's like Bluebees and stuff. So.
But I feel like most Dragapults are playing Vacuum now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're mostly playing Vacuum.
Yeah.
I also think you need the Stamp for the Gholdengo matchup. I actually just think like that matchup is like unwinnable if you don't play Stamp.
Yeah, it's because you gotta like and then like hit and then hope they don't put their big combo together or get their Vacuum or whatever they need. That's a good point actually. So I don't know, do you still think the deck is in that A tier, or do you think it just is kind of like not done well at EUIC? It's like people are like kind of are ready for it now.
I'm not sure. Like, I think it's like a very polarizing matchup spread, to be honest. Like I think your Gholdengo and your Miraidon are really bad, but like your Cloth and your Dragapult or your Cloth and your Arcaludon are really good, and then your like Dragapult's like very close. But I feel like I personally don't like playing Gardevoir right now, just because I feel like it's not worth the investment you have. Like I feel like the deck is so hard to play, and like the return on the investment is just not that high.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, like when you're playing like 8-9 rounds, like having to like mentally like stay in it and like not make mistakes for that long, like the margin for error is just so much less than a lot of these other decks.
Yeah, like even Dragapult I think is a lot easier to play for 9 rounds than Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. I mean,
I think it's like I think it's a B tier deck. I honestly think Dragapult's just an S tier deck though. Like everything else is like below it. But that's fine.
Like we would put like not even have anything in A, we just have Dragapult jump to S.
Well then I'd probably put like something in A. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think A tier for Dragapult's fair.
Yeah.
I just don't think anything's in the same tier as Dragapult is the issue.
Okay, that's fair. Well, if we have anything else we think contends for A, maybe we'll push it to S. So Gardevoir, it was at like I think 12% UIC. I think it might come down a little bit to like 10. That's what I would have to guess. I don't know what you.
Yeah, I agree with 10. I actually think maybe you should like move Dragapult Dusknoir off of percent, to be honest. I think it will go up.
Alright, there we go. We're at 18% combined for Dragapult now.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, next up, Lugia. So my favorite deck. I actually think it's decently well positioned this weekend. I think Miraidon's going down in play. Not significantly, but like it's not that big of a deck anymore. Like it's reasonable to like not hit one day one or the whole tournament. Cloth just won. Cloth is a very good matchup for you. Dragapult Dusknoir, very good matchup for you. I have to test the normal Dragapult matchup a bit more. It's probably closer. I think Gholdengo and Arcaladon, like you can build your deck to beat it. Like if you just want to play 2/2 Rat, I think you're definitely favored into Gholdengo. Sejun, like Sejun Park, he posted a list with Radzard. I didn't like his build, but like Radzard's actually I've been testing. It's actually decent, and it makes both those matchups like very favored. So I think Lugia is in a good spot this weekend. And like Gardevoir is like slightly unfavored, but like we said, like that might be going down and play a little bit. And like honestly, the matchup's fine. Like you can still win. It's probably like a 45-55, depending on both players' list. And like Lugia's been doing so poorly lately that like Sinnoh might start coming out of decks, like Spiritomb might start coming out of Gardevoir. Then once that happens, then like you're pretty much like uncontested. So it's definitely not A tier, but I think Lugia is definitely in the B tier with all those decks that we've kind of like put up there. What do you think?
I actually think there's another deck to put in A tier would be Lugia.
Really?
I'm a really big fan of Lugia right now. I don't think I'll play it because I don't like Lugia. Like, I hate the deck, but I think it's like really well positioned right now.
Okay.
Just
Lugia A
one
tier?
bad Miraidon matchup. I would just have to play the Dragapult without Dusknoir matchup more.
Okay, well, this is shift gear bias, Ciaran bias. We're putting Lugia in A tier.
I don't know. Maybe you should put it in B tier because like I guess this is like I feel like Dragapult is definitely a better deck. But I feel like for this like Pacific tournament, I really like Lugia.
Okay, well, this is the Vancouver tier list, so we're putting it in A tier. And this is my podcast too, so we're putting it in A tier. Lugia gets glazed on this podcast. All right. What meta share are we gonna give it? I think it's even though it's in a good spot, I don't think it'll like go up in play or anything. I think it'll probably stay around 7-8% if I had to guess.
I think it'll be like a 7 or 6. I think it's gonna go down a bit from UIC.
I'm gonna say 7.
That's fair.
Just because you know I'm at this tournament and it's a Canadian, so people will play Lugia. Okay, I think the rest of the decks we don't have anything like crazy popular.
Yeah.
Now we might start getting some D tiers. Okay, Raging Bolt. Where does Raging Bolt go? I don't think it's like that bad.
D tier.
C tier?
I hate D tier. I hate this deck. I think it's terrible. Like it actually did. For what it's worth, it didn't seem terrible for UIC, and it did absolutely terrible. So I just think this deck is bad.
Well, did it do terrible, or did like people just not play Raging Bolt?
I'm sure there's gotta be like
Here,
the loyal.
let's look up. Let's see the meta share.
I don't know the meta share for Bolt, but I'm assuming it was like 5%. Or not 5%.
4%. Day
4%.
one.
That's a decent amount of Raging Bolt, and none of them cashed.
Then 2% day 2.
Yeah. I mean, there is also the thing where like I don't think any strong players are gonna choose to play Raging Bolt, but I just don't think the deck is that good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's bad.
On paper, it's like you're probably like okay against Dragapult. Badu's probably annoying. You're definitely like bad against Gardevoir. You're probably good against Arcaladon. You're good against Miraidon. You're probably good against Gholdengo, no? Or I guess no, they go single prize.
Oh, Gholdengo seems like a terrible matchup.
No, you're right. No, that is a terrible matchup. They just go single prize into, yeah. Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. Like Dragapult's playing the Blood Moon. I don't know if that's relevant, but it might be relevant. They're also playing Stam.
That's true.
And like, what is the other matchup? I mean, the Cloth matchup is always. Oh, actually, the Cloth matchup isn't that bad. I don't know. I just think that. Also, people are playing Klefki now, which is
true. It gets collateraled by Klefki. So I feel like if you're playing Gardevoir or you're playing like this version of Dragapult, maybe even Dragapult Dusknoir, I feel like Klefki is maybe a worthwhile inclusion right now. All right, I'll let it be in D tier. I think I would put it in C tier, but we'll go D tier. I think it'll still be like 4%, just because people just have been playing Raging Bolt so long.
Yeah, 4% seems fine.
Okay. All right, what about Seraledge? Is this a real deck, or can we just like put this also in D tier? Yeah.
This deck would be in a lower tier than Raging Bolt.
I agree with you. I was literally just about to say that.
It's so bad. I think it will be like 3%, and I just think it loses to everything. Like this deck is just really bad. I like genuinely don't know what you beat.
Doesn't it beat Dragapult apparently?
Well, I've played against multiple Seraledge. I've never lost Dragapult, so
okay, true.
You just go like Phantom Dive. I mean, I guess maybe without Dusknoir, it's like a little bit better, but probably not.
I guess yeah, because they have to put Squawk or something down. So it's like, all right, Dusknoir, knock out Squawk, knock out whatever. Yeah, all right, seems bad.
And like
Uh,
your Lugia matchup, terrible. Your Gardevoir matchup is terrible. Your Miraidon matchup does not seem great. Your Cloth matchup seems pretty bad. Your Gholdengo matchup honestly seems pretty bad.
maybe we beat
I mean,
Arcaladon.
I think you've definitely beat Arcaladon.
All
That's like
right.
the one matchup you
Wait, isn't
beat.
Gholdengo weak to fire though? Can't we also go
Yeah, but
single
they're just
prize
gonna
board?
present single prize board and then
No,
force.
but
I
you
guess
have Greninja. You go Greninja,
do
not good.
they still play Palkia?
Who?
I honestly
Ceruledge?
don't know. I guess they still play Palkia. Okay, maybe the Gholdengo matchup is fine, but that doesn't matter. The deck still loses like everything.
Okay, D tier for Ceruledge. I agree. All right, Charizard. Is that also D tier?
Yeah, this this deck is not good when Dragapult is good. That's just fine.
Okay, if there's two different ones on here, I'm only gonna know
I
one.
don't know what the other one is.
I think it's like Charizard. Well, Charizard Dragapult got 9th at EUIC.
That's a different deck in my opinion. That's like I
Okay,
think
so
that deck's like pretty decent. I've played 0 games with it, but
okay, where should we
I've
put
like
that one then? I haven't played any games with it either.
I mean I'll just put it in B tier. Like I think I would rather play straight Dragapult than Dragapult Zard, but I definitely see some appeal to Dragapult Zard.
Okay, well I know Oscar Madsen made that list, so go check out his Metapie if you guys want to learn about
I
that
also
one.
think Charizard will probably be like 4%. I think people are still gonna play it. But
What was it? Well, it was 3% at EUIC.
oh, okay, maybe 3%. I feel like people love Charizard. There's like 9% Charizard at the one regionals for
And
some reason
Merida?
when you came out. Yeah,
Well, Merida was mainly just like Mexican locals, and like a lot of them just like played the decks they've been playing forever. So I think like we saw like a lot of stuff like that and Raging Bull had like massive meta shares.
that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think there's like a little bit more appeal to playing Charizard. If like Dragapult is not gonna play Dusknoir, that's probably slightly better for you. But I mean, I still think the matchup's terrible. And like
yeah,
Badoo is really bad for your deck. Your Cloth matchup seems pretty bad now with Badoo too.
yeah. Also, Lugia getting Regigigas just makes the matchup so bad too.
Yeah, that matchup's like unwinnable now. It used to be like really close.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, next up I have Lost Zone. I feel like it's been picking up a little bit of hype. I know Grant Manley got top 16 at EUIC, and then a couple other players did well with it. Where is Lost Zone? You're laughing here. It feels like you're ready to put this in the.
I played Lost Zone to UIC, and my compas are no longer around, so I don't know.
So wait, you played Lost Zone at UIC?
Yeah.
How'd you end up on Lost Zone?
In theory, it was really good, but then I realized like halfway through the tournament, the Miraidon match was like not that good. A lot of the time, they just hit the Iron Hands, Iron Hands, Iron Hands. But
So did you play it going into the tournament thinking Miraidon was good?
yeah, but I think the Miraidon matchup's a lot closer than I thought.
Okay.
I still think it's slightly favored, but
Yeah,
like
what's your
not
opinion
really.
on the Dragapult matchup? Because I know people are split on that one.
I was testing a lot of it, and I do think Dragapult's like slightly favored, which I think is probably enough to not want to play the deck. But
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
if you play like perfectly, you also have to play extremely well as the Lost Zone player. Like you have to play around so much random. Like there's like so many points in the game where if they Badoo you, they just instantly win. At least with the list I played to UIC.
Yeah. There was
So
a stream game where like Vinny played against Lost Box and he just did Badoo the whole game, nothing else, and he won.
yeah, you have to be like very careful with your energy.
Oh.
I honestly think the deck is like decently well positioned. I mean, maybe put it in C tier with Archaladon.
Okay. Then like I think it was 3% at EUIC. Do you think that's fair? Or do you think it'll be 2?
I think maybe it could go up 3.5%.
3.5.
the deck.
Alright. Get the decimals in there. Okay, so we're at 80%, which is pretty good because people will play their random stuff. Alright, how about Blocklax? Blocklax did really well at EUIC.
Did it?
You got 2 top 8s. That's pretty good.
I think this. I don't like this deck. I think that your Dragapult matchup is really bad if they know what to do. Your Lugia matchup's really bad. Your Gardevoir matchup's like fine. What else is there? I also think your Arcaladon matchup's like a straight auto loss.
Yeah, I mean, I only watched one game of Natalie's like top 8 match against it, but like she just like dismantled it perfectly. She was like, all right, Dusknoir, counter catcher, Rotom, I own you to 4, like game's pretty much over.
That's what's happened to me. Like that's what's happened when I tested the matchup every time.
Yeah,
but it's like the thing with Snorlax is like if you're playing against a player doesn't know how to play against the matchup, like I do think the deck gets like an inflated win rate because people just like get tilted when you flip over a Snorlax like earlier on in the tournament.
Yeah, like I always say that I think Snorlax is one of like the best decks to make day 2 with, but it's like I think it's really hard to win a tournament with Snorlax. Like
especially once you
yeah.
Once you get to top cut too, it's like even harder to win because of the top cut rules.
Oh yeah, it's like you lose one game and it's like all right, you've just lost the set. So
I think it's like C tier.
Okay,
I don't think it's the same tier as the
what was
tier
it?
decks.
It was 2% at UIC. I think 2%.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. The last
I think it's like honest. I think it's in a slightly worse position than UIC because I just think Lugia is a little better. But that's like it.
Well, if we predicted Lugia would do the same meta share, and then we said Dragapult, some of them aren't going to play Dusknoir. I think it's slightly
But like, I
better
mean,
position.
Vinny's list played double Turo Switch. I don't know. I've never
That's
played the list
true.
without the Dragapult, but like double Turo Switch seems pretty good. Although
But they have
they
a lot of
haven't played
bad things.
Milotic. So.
Yeah, they play, but they also like if you like have Badoo come down too many times. Well, I guess you can Ultra Ball the Badoo the turn you play Turo. Yeah, maybe it's not actually that good for that matchup.
I would need to play it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure.
No. That's the thing. There's like so many decks where it's like, okay, you don't have time to play all these. I mean, you're not playing this deck, so you don't really care about this matchup. But yeah. Okay, last one we have on this list is Drago. So last week or 2 weeks ago when we were doing our EUIC thing, I said Drago. I don't know if it's really that bad or if people just stopped playing it, and it did okay at EUIC. I think we had 2 or 3 in top 32. So as a former Drago enjoyer, where do you feel the deck should go?
I played it to a League Cup yesterday,
Okay.
and the deck is really bad. I think you have to work so hard to do like very little.
Okay.
Like I don't know. You have to like basically you have to open everything turn 1, otherwise you lose.
Well, I mean, like the deck
Yeah,
has Badoo now though, so you can also slow the game down. I feel like while you're trying to like get through all this stuff.
My issue is just like whiffing turn 1 Drago or like whiffing turn 1 energy and then like never finding it for the rest of the game. So I don't have items.
Is it that
I
hard
don't
to
know.
find Drago in energy turn 1?
I don't know. I made it to finals and then like in all 3 games in finals I did not find a Drago. Or I did not find an attack until turn 4. So
Yeah, I will say with Drago, whenever because I've tested the deck like a crazy amount, just because like I had to play it against other people. It's like half my games, I'm like, this is the worst deck ever, but then I still somehow win. But I think maybe in this format, like that's just not as true anymore because like, yeah, there's stuff like Badoo to like slow you down even more, so you get less of those like high roll starts. I still think it's like decent. Yeah. It's probably in the C tier. What do you think?
I think it's definitely C tier. Like I'm like very unsure on the Dragapult matchup. I've actually played a decent amount of Drago on this format. I'm still unsure about the Dragapult matchup. I think it's like 50-50.
Okay. I mean, if you have 50-50 in Dragapult, Gardevoir and Lugia are probably, if you play Temple, it's probably, again, some 50-50s. So, I don't know, it doesn't seem that bad. You're probably really bad against Gholdengo, if I had to guess.
I think the Gholdengo matchup's really good because you play Badoo in your deck. But...
I guess, but like...
It's just...
Wait, is that...
I'm so unsure on Drago. I'd have to play more like deck, and I just don't want to put the time in.
Alright, it's C tier right now with potential to be B tier. I'll say that.
I think it could... I think it could potentially be like one of the best decks. I'm just like unsure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know, like in my head, like I haven't played enough games, but to me it seems pretty decent.
Yeah. I just don't think your Dragapult matchup's like that amazing.
Well, you don't need it to be amazing. If you think it's 50-50, then if you have decent matchups and other stuff.
You do auto lose to Archaladon too.
Do you auto lose?
Archaladon matchup's pretty much on one.
Can't you just go Phantom Dive 20-20-20 or no? Like set all the guys up for...
And then they like instantly respond with the... They either respond with Relicanth or they go like...
No, I'm not saying Relicanth. I'm saying like you put 20 with a Phantom Dive on the Duraludons.
But then they just go Relicanth, kill your Dragon. They have to set up another...
I'm not punching Archaladon with Phantom Dive.
Oh, you're hitting something?
I might even cure him to get around Relicanth. I don't know. Like,
I feel like it's pretty tough to win the 2-2-2 against them. Like,
I don't think it's favored, but I don't think it's like auto loss bad.
I don't think it's, like, I mean, okay, maybe saying it was an auto loss is like a bit mean on it, but like it's definitely not a great matchup. I also think your cloth matchup is like pretty bad if they don't discard their colors early. Like,
well,
Badoo is really annoying.
Isn't there some counterplay maybe with like Kyurem to finish the game late game or no?
Yeah, Kyurem's pretty nice. Like, you can do the double Kyurem play, but they play 4 switch card.
Well, I don't think you can double Kyurem because I feel like if you Kyurem and you get Badoo, like you're kind of cooked.
My issue is they're just gonna take 2 and then they're gonna take another 2. Like, and they can one shot your Drago, which you like never like. I haven't been playing Gutra on the deck though, so like maybe Gutra would help with that. Also, they play Monkey now, which is like low-key really annoying for Drago.
You also low-key, like, how does Cloth ever draw the Monkey? Like, I looked at the list, I'm like, you don't even play Vessel or anything. Like, they just play one Dark.
I don't know.
Am I forced Seal Stone for this Dark?
You're Seal Stoning for the Dark, or you're using Colors, which I mean, you're not using Colors against Drago. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that match is definitely unfavorable too. Because like Badoo just like swinging for like 80 is really hard to deal with too. And and that's like assuming they whiff the turn like 1 Cloth into like the turn 2 Terrapagos, turn 3 Terrapagos.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I think C tier is where it should land. Like, what percent was it at UIC? I don't even think it made the graphic at UIC. That's kind of crazy.
I would say it's 2%.
Yeah, 2%. I think it's fair. So, Okay, so
People
collectively with
just
all these decks, we have 83.5%, which I think makes sense. Like 17.5 or 16.5 of just like random stuff makes up the rest. So there's Chempao
yeah,
enjoyers, people playing Regigigas,
ancient box.
Ancient Blocks, yeah, stuff like that. Is there any deck that we didn't talk about here that you think is like positioned for success or no?
Not really. I would have to. Actually, I think Gouging Fire is not terrible right
Oh
now.
yeah, we didn't put Gouging Fire on the list. Where does Gouging Fire would go? Would you put a B or is it like C tier?
I mean, I think it's a C tier, but I think it's like I've played 0 games with the deck, but like I feel like it's like not the terrible worst position. Like I would rather play Gouging Fire than Raging Bolt. And like
Okay, true.
honestly, I think the Gouging Fire versus Dragapult matchup might be like favored for Gouging Fire. If I don't know.
Well, you play Monkey Dory, and
You
you
have
have
Monkey and you have
Delphox.
Delphox.
Yeah, maybe.
I honestly could see it being a B tier deck. Like I don't think it's that bad.
Well, maybe
You
Gardevoir
probably
doesn't play Manaphy.
Gardevoir. I don't think it's playing Manaphy right now. So honestly, I think I think your Gardevoir matchup's slightly unfavored because I think they're mostly playing Stamp. Like if you look at UIC, they're mostly playing Stamp, and Stamp's really bad for your deck. But
Let's see what percent of Guardians are playing Stamp.
all the high placing Guardians are playing Stamp.
Yeah, yeah. So if overall, like 43% of people playing Stamp, but I think you're right.
There was out of all the Guardians that made cash, only one of them didn't play Stamp, and it was 64.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people played Stamp. Then yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess probably going forward, then people will probably just go into Stamp.
And I mean, I still do think some Guardians are gonna play Manaphy.
Yeah, people just like playing Manaphy, to be honest.
I mean, do you know what the Gouging Fire with Lugia matchup is?
Oh, it's so free for Lugia. They're weak to water. You can Aqua Return, knock out their guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think that deck's like okay. I honestly, maybe I would rather play that than Miraidon, but I don't think
Really?
that's saying that much.
Okay. Wow, Miraidon's like a pretty good deck. A lot of people play it, so. Yeah, I think Gouging Fire falls into the tier where it's like, or like Bucket, where it's like people don't practice it and people don't want to practice it, so no one actually knows.
Yeah.
Where
I
it
do think
is.
it's better than some of the decks on this too. So I think it's better than Reaching Bolt. It's definitely better than Reaching Bolt, Sarah Ledge, and Charizard.
Man, like the amount of times you've hated on Raging Bolt, like unprompted this episode, like 10 plus times.
I definitely overhated on Reaching Bolt. Like the deck's not as bad as I say it is. I just hate Reaching Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, I hate playing against Raging Bolt, so.
I'm fine with playing against Raging Bolt. It's always a free win. Even
Well,
when I was playing Drago, I would always win.
really, you'd always beat them.
Yeah, because I don't know, they always found a way to lose somehow.
I don't know. Maybe because I play Lugia, like the matchup has no skill. It's literally like just do I set up or not. So I hate playing against it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is pretty much indicative of where things are. I think we've kind of gone to like a more healthy format. I think like after Merida, I was definitely a little bit worried that the meta would be like 4 decks. But yeah, I think there's honestly like you can play like whatever, which I think is pretty cool. So it's basically just like last format, just Dragapult's taking Regidrago's spot. It's kind of crazy Regidrago's actually dropped that much. So, cool.
I think a lot of the Regidrago has to do with people not wanting to play it.
Yeah, I don't know, but like if it goes from like 16% San Antonio to like 2, that's like such a crazy drop. I don't know. I guess people just play the best deck and they're like, all right, this isn't the best deck anymore, so we're not playing it. And it's a difficult deck too. So.
It's like it was very popular, but I feel like people like we're not very attached to it. Like I feel like people are attached to certain decks. Regidrago was definitely not one of them. It seems like no one like particularly was like, I love Regidrago. This is the best deck.
Like, do people love Dragapult? I don't know.
I've definitely had some locals that have been playing Dragapult religiously since it came out.
But... yeah. Okay, what deck has like the most like diehard fan base? You think?
I think it's either Gardevoir or I think it's Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think Gardevoir too. Like it feels.
I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say like 2 formats ago was Raging Bolt. Now
yeah, Raging Bolt would like flop every turn and people would still play it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we've seen a fan base as strong though as Chempao. Nothing's gotten as strong as that.
I mean, Zing did somehow top 16 worlds.
That's what I'm saying. Like just aura, pure aura, with the deck, right? So, I tried to make CPAL work this format. I made like a TM Evo like Gigas build. It's just still not good enough. So I was like, haven't been able to pull it out. I wish I could. But yeah. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much a good list. If you guys want to trash our opinions, do that in the comments. If I forgot your favorite deck, let me know. Yeah, Callie, thanks so much for coming on the Shift Gear. I want to let you plug anything you want to plug. Say whatever you want to say. Give the shout outs. The floor is yours.
My Twitter is Cali White. TCG is just like CALY, White TCG. And my spawn. You should check out my sponsor, Project Artemis. I think they're very cool.
Awesome. All right, go check Callie out. Go check Project Artemis out. We'll both be at Vancouver next week. So yeah, come say hi to me if you want to say hi. Other than that, have a good week and good luck if you're going to. Not even Vancouver, just good luck at any tournament. Good luck at your random locals if you're going to locals this weekend. All right, we'll catch you guys next week.